Kevin McCarthy taking some shots at you. Take a listen.
Has there ever been any conversations between you and the former president about Matt Gaetz and his decision to throw you out? Is he supportive of that?
I don't know how close you probably think the president is to Gaetz, but you should figure that out.
They're not actually that close?
As to the point of President Trump, look, I mean, President Trump asks me to go to Iowa and New Hampshire to campaign for him. I've been on the stage giving speeches for President Trump. If Kevin McCarthy ever took the stage at a Trump rally, he would be booed off of it. Trump knows that, and McCarthy knows that. Like, the booing that Lindsey Graham got at a Trump rally would look like patty cake compared to the thunderous negative response Kevin McCarthy would ever receive at these things. So, look, I mean, you could just check the scoreboard on these things. The voice of the ghost of Christmas past just kind of gets a little softer and a little softer by the day. But for Kevin McCarthy to suggest that President Trump and I aren't aligned certainly doesn't help President Trump. It certainly doesn't help our campaign. And it just kind of makes Kevin McCarthy look small and sad and lying.
And so also leaving prior to the end of the term also made him look like it was about Kevin McCarthy. It was never about the Republican Party or America for that matter. George Santos lost that seat last night. I mean, George Santos expelled. Mazi Pilip lost the seat to Tom Suozzi, an important seat. You called it. You said this is going to be a problem if we get rid of Santos. You want to weigh in on what happened last night and what happens in November, because that seat will be up again in November.
It turns out DEI isn't a real good strategy for Republican candidate recruitment. George Santos was no walk in the park, but he was at least a registered Republican. I think we were running this lady who was like a registered Democrat. She would not endorse President Trump. She lost by a substantial margin. George Santos stood with President Trump, backed the America First agenda, and he ultimately prevailed. So now the very New Yorkers who threw George Santos out see their own ranks diminished, and they welcome back Democrat Tom Suozzi. Because, look, there's only three categories of people who've ever been expelled in the United States Congress. People who participated in the Civil War, people who have been found guilty of a crime, and George Santos. And I don't know that we've done ourselves any favor in that regard.
Yeah, and there's a model coming up right after this in the next block talking about how Republicans threw George Santos under the bus to win some moral victory. Meanwhile, Democrats, look, they circle the wagons around Menendez, the senator. They circle wagons around Biden. They circle wagons around Ilhan Omar, saying some things that may indicate she may be more about Somalia than she is America. And they circle the wagons around Cori Bush after they find out she's misusing some campaign funds, allegedly.
Wait, you mean you can't hire your spouse to be your security detail, Bolling?
Yeah.
That's frowned upon.
Future spouse.
I'm old-fashioned. I just thought husbands were supposed to protect their wives for free, without getting paid out of the campaign.
I think she was paying them off before they were actually married. I could be wrong about that fact. The timing irrelevant, however. But
she admitted it was both.
They do dig in and defend their people because they don't want to lose the seat. They don't want to lose the political. They won't take the political loss for the moral victory. Whereas Republicans your guys seem to lose the seat for the moral victory that no one gives a damn about.
Yeah, Bob Menendez is still dragging his Egyptian gold bars into his classified briefings on the national security threat. But because George Santos was naughty on OnlyFans, we had to reduce our majority by 25%. It is a study in how the different parties react to their membership and how really they prepare for the fight. And not everybody has the same role in the fight. But one thing about George Santos, he would have voted to impeach Mayorkas. He would have voted with us on FISA and whatever else he has going on. He was not convicted of a crime. And when we abridged due process, we were not rewarded politically for it. We lost. And I think that candidate in New York had a lot of problems, notably her unwillingness to embrace the fact that Donald Trump is the head of the party. Look, if you don't want to run as a Donald Trump Republican, what are you even doing running in 2024 on our side? Get on board. This is the agenda we're going to pursue.
You need a good Trump endorsed and vice versa. You need a good candidate to get that seat back. That's when he can get back. Suozzi's already lost once. He can get that one back.